Uh-oh. What the? Hold on. That's a different. That's different. How about this? No, that's different. How about that? Eesh. How about this? Ooh. How about that? Ah. What the hell? What even the hell? This looks crazy. This looks bonkers. It's a little green, ain't it? Ain't we just a bit green here today? Alright, this is how white I am. About that. It's not quite correct. It's more like that. Alright. Hi guys. We got a bit of a show. Right now. Welcome to the show. My name is hEllolisTENER, but you could call me I have something I want to talk about. I'm about to switch up on my day ones hard. Y'all get ready. I'm about to switch up on my day ones and forget where I came from. I hope y'all ready for that. I'm about to switch up on my day ones and forget where I came from. Because I learned something last night. And y'all gonna be like, you stupid. I don't care. I don't care if I'm stupid. I don't care. Who cares? But before we get to that, I had a weird dream last night. Where I was like, well, I don't want to get too into it. It was, It was a pretty weird dream. I'm just gonna say it. In the dream, I cheated on my wife, and then had a whole different life with some other lady, and then we're about to go on like a vacation or something, and the lady told me to sit in the back, that the kid sits in the front. I was like, what the hell? What is this? And I got out of the car, and I was like, well, where's Maria? And then I spent the rest of the dream trying to find Maria, and my phone didn't work, and I couldn't find her, and I couldn't, and it was like this weird thing. And then finally, it had like a happy ending at the end. I mean, it was bad, but at the end, I found Maria. And she was like at the apartment we first lived in together. And she opened the door and she goes, Tony, where you been? I was worried about you. And I gave her a big hug and we were happy. Now, obviously, it's a bad thing. The whole thing was bad, you know, the way it all went down. But it was kind of like, you know, there was like such turmoil in the dream of me not knowing where Maria was or how to get back to her and no way to contact her. And most of the dream was me trying to figure out how to get back to my wife. And when I finally did, it was like this amazing moment. And I don't know if she forgave me in the dream or if she didn't know or what happened. I don't know. But it was a special thing. Now, I don't even know why I told you that part, because I would never do anything like that. But you know, it's weird that it's weird that a dream gets resolved. At least for me, it's weird that a dream gets resolved, especially in like a nice way, like a happy ending in a dream. That's kind of unusual. But that's what happened. So it was kind of nice. And I woke up and I was thinking about streaming and doing my show, and I couldn't, and it felt like that was a dream. I was like, that's not my life. How could that be my, and I couldn't reconcile the reality of my situation. I in my mind, it was like, no, that's a dream. That was part of the dream. You have a show, you talk for a living. And in my mind, I was genuinely like, that's such a crazy dream. And it took me a while to realize that this is really what I do. Because it seems, I was incredulous of myself. No, that's not what you do. That's crazy. That's like a dream. That's like some weird dream you had. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I woke up this morning and thought that the thing that I did for a living wasn't real, because how could this happen? How could I be a guy who talks for a living? How could I be a guy who is like a internet guy? How did that happen? And so that was the only reason I told you about the dream, probably, because I just found it so strange that in my waking state, I couldn't convince myself that this is what I did for a living. Isn't that weird? Like, it's kind of crazy that I do this. This is kind of crazy. Why do I look like a bean man? Why do I look like the bean man? Let me check moderation, but I'll try and fix it. You know how moderation is. It says no moderation on comments. I don't get it. We are incredulous of yourself too. I am the band man. I read that okay. Alright, so anyway. Not important. Let me set up a goal. Let me set up a goal so that this becomes real in my mind. And I'm gonna do push-ups. I gotta get some dang push-ups. So hit this goal so I can get my act together. I need motivation. Alright. This says 50. I don't think that's really crazy. I think that's kind of crazy. Let's just keep it easy. Let's do 30. Hello? Hi. Why is it getting all laggy, man? Why is my hair weird? Why am I so oblong? I'm oblong. Whatever. I come from a long line of oblongs. Okay, here's what I wanted to talk about today a little bit. I don't know how long this show's gonna go. I did the presidential thing earlier, but I don't even know what's going on. Okay. I did a lot of research into Byzantium yesterday. Thank you, Josiah. Here's your sound, buddy. Let me put on my head so it looks more round. Look, now I look like I have a round head instead of a gigantic oval. Here's your sound, bud. Get ready. Any second now. Spooky.
At Ben the Recluse super chatted $20. I finished your stream from yesterday. Don't get down on being a bad orthodox. Your honesty is what inspired me to believe I could do this. I didn't feel worthy, nor did I look for orthodoxy. It came for me.
Well, thank you, Ben the Recluse. I appreciate that. And here's your sound, bud. And God bless you too, Josiah. The goal ain't working? What you even mean by that? It just ain't working. Oh, goal just ain't working? What the hell? Maybe give it a second. What can I say? What did I do? Why it not? Why would that not work? What the hell, dude? Will not work. All right, well, I'm counting it over here. I don't know what to do. The goal has already been met in our hearts. That's so nice, dude. It's beautiful, really. I don't know what to do about that. I don't know what to do about that. But if that hits 10 by the time this goes to the end, then I'll know and I'll go for it. I'll do the push-ups. Okay. I'm gonna try and get into this. I don't feel prepped for this. I don't feel like I could do it, but I'm gonna try a little bit. So, and a lot of you are gonna be like pretty, maybe not. Maybe you're gonna be like, that's what's up, yo, that's lit. How can I even talk about it? How can I even do such a thing? Yo. I can't even approach it. Byzantium was multi-ethnic in a way that didn't destroy ethnicities, didn't ground them out, didn't force integration. There were multiple ethnic enclaves within Byzantium. And yet they all worked together because they had a shared understanding of the world. Which transcended ethnicity, but did not destroy it, did not pretend it wasn't real, and did not try and flatten it out or muddy it. Did you know that? Did you know that Byzantium was ethnically diverse on a crazy level and included all types of people? But because they had a shared mystical understanding, there was unity within diversity. The liturgy was the same for all of them. The religion was the same for all of them. It's not Catholic. Oh yeah, it is Catholic in the traditional sense of the word. Let me try and think of how I can talk about this because it's pretty interesting. And it's making me rethink stuff, you know? Like, obviously, I care about my people. I care about white people. Because white people are being systematically destroyed. That's true. That's what's going on. And what the elites want... My brain ain't even freaking nice today. My brain sucks today. So I'm gonna have to use, like... I'm gonna have to put these on. I'm gonna have to put this on. But what I spent the whole night looking into this, and diversity isn't automatically destructive. What's destructive is trying to force people to look past diversity or look past ethnicity and act like it doesn't exist. People naturally gravitate towards their own kind. And that was even true in America before, like, the civil rights movement and forced zoning and all this stuff where they're like they're like busing a bunch of black people into white communities and they're like, this is progress. Like, it's moralized enlightenment values. It's like they're moralizing something that has no business being moralized. Before that, even in America, people just stuck to their own. It wasn't the end of the world. They stuck to their own. It didn't mean they all hated each other. But when you force a bunch of people together, their identity deteriorates. And the whole thing becomes contentious. And that's the goal, you know, that's the Kalergi goal, Kalergi, however you want to say it. How do you pronounce Kalergi? How do you pronounce Kalergi? How do you pronounce Kalergi, as in the Kalergi plan? Is it Kalergi? Is it Kalergi? How do you say that?
Yeah, good question. The most common pronunciation is Kalergi, so the emphasis is on the second syllable. Some might say clergy too, but clergy is the one you'll hear most often.
Clergy. Kind of muddying the waters, pushing everyone together, saying that if you resist it, it's like it's morally questionable. If you want to stick with your own kind and be around your own people, that's somehow morally questionable and wrong. Byzantium didn't have this issue. Byzantium recognized and allowed for ethnic diversity and ethnic enclaves within its structure, within its empirical, I'm dumb today. I'm sorry, I'm dumb today. But you're gonna have to deal with dumb Tony today. Because there was a shared understanding of the world. There was a shared faith and an understanding of unity in Christ. These people were very different from one another. These people didn't have their identity flattened or erased by being included in part of an empire, by being included in an empire of people that weren't like them. Their identity was allowed to thrive and flourish while being united in Christ, which is exactly how the church is spoken of. In Christ there's neither Jew nor Greek, neither master nor slave. But that doesn't mean that these things don't exist in reality. So I'm thinking about this in front of you guys. But maybe this just knowing this calls for some sort of restructuring of how we think about this. You know, I'm very hard on those outside my ethnic group, and for good reason. But a lot of what we're dealing with in that is because of forced integration and a lack of solidarity with our own people, which is unnatural, which is an artificial thing that's been forced upon us. I guess it goes back to my original point, you know. The people up top who are trying to create this system of people without an identity that they can easily control, they need to be taken care of, and everything else can fall into place. Yeah, that's the point. A low trust society to bring in mass surveillance. Yeah, that's the entire point. You know, I don't know. Let me see if I can read you some stuff. I had a long conversation with ChatGPT about this, and you can judge me if you want, man. You know, you shouldn't. Because when I have conversations with ChatGPT, it's real smart, dude. And ChatGPT gets shook. ChatGPT is scared of my intellect. And it always caves. And it's not caving in a way where it does with you, where it's like, you're right, you're smart. No, it doesn't do that with me. It fights back until I beat it down. And then it says, fine. Fine. So one of the things we were talking about I don't know how to do all this. There's so much stuff here. Because it argued with me so much about like top-down control and modernity, and I was like, how can you argue against this? If all of Europe decides to do the exact same things, if all of America, if all of these European countries all of a sudden implement the same things which are destructive to them, then how can you act like it's just a sort of synchronistic thing and not a top-down control thing? I don't know. Whatever. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll think about it more later. My brain feels bad. Maybe I'll just leave. Maria, am I doing a good job? So I want that. I want Neo-Byzantium. And what I'm trying to say is that these things will naturally solve themselves. People will naturally gravitate towards their own kind because that's what people do, because that's what makes people happy and makes them comfortable and helps them to grow in their own identity. But if we have a shared religion, if we have a shared culture, a shared... How was it said here? I like the way ChatGPT said it. Authority is oriented vertically toward God, not purely human design. Political, social, and cultural structures operate within the metaphysical framework. Multi-ethnic, multi-regional cohesion could be achieved like Byzantium, but consciously aligned with orthodoxy. Okay, here's the key distinctions. The basis of unity in the modern technocratic dystopia is coercion, incentives, and engineered identity. The basis of unity in Byzantium was shared sacred worldview, aka orthodoxy. The identity of the subjects in a modern technocratic dystopia is diverse peoples subordinated instrumentally. ChatGPT's language, not mine. Forgive me. Identity of subjects in Byzantium was diverse peoples integrated voluntarily. It was a voluntary thing. People wanted to be part of this. They adopted this framework. They said, this is the truth. They were compelled by truth, not coercion. Do you understand the difference? Do you understand the freaking beauty of that? The beauty of different cultures and ethnicities allowed to thrive because they want to participate in the kingdom. They want to participate in something beautiful, something structured around the truth. You understand how compelling that is? It's not forced. It's not coerced. You are compelled to it naturally.
Super chatted $10. I'm so here for this. It makes me want to chug a cup of Italian dressing, but in a good way.
Thank you, dude. I want to chug a Italian that's your sound. That's also your sound. And this. All right. Moral authority in Byzantium was above the emperor, God. Modern technocratic dystopia is human elites in the system itself. Now, here's something. The durability of a modern technocratic dystopia relies on surveillance and fear, and it's potentially very brittle. And so this is what they're trying to implement. They're trying to implement a sort of antichrist system, a beast system. Whereas they make us identityless, kind of flatten us out into this sort of identityless mush of cattle that they can control, implementing more and more means of control. So it's tyranny. It's not participation. It's top-down tyranny. Whereas in Byzantium, there was a natural pull to participate because it was clear that this was the truth. And so it's just this is why I was saying yesterday, this kind of lends to what I was saying yesterday, that we can't take a single step forward without Christ. Because actually, nationhood, as I understood it, is kind of a modern invention. And we start to focus more and more on our ethnicity and our ethnic differences, and it becomes all about our individual sovereignty and this and the other thing when Christ is no longer in the center of the picture. Whereas when Christ is in the center of the picture, we don't feel our identity being threatened. Now, you and I know exactly why this is happening and who is at the forefront of this massive change in societal structure. I don't have to say it. You know. But even our modern idea of nationalism is downwind from the schism. And I didn't know that. And I feel like that was a stupid blind spot. Isn't that interesting? You had ethnic enclaves throughout Byzantium, but they didn't see themselves as nation states. Now, that's not to say it couldn't be done in that way. And when I talk about Neo-Byzantium, in my mind, I'm not thinking of just America. I'm thinking of something massive. I'm thinking of something huge. And that's what it was. That's what it was in the first millennium. This massive empire. Forgive me for being scatterbrained. So now, okay, let me try and I think I'll try and see. The thing is, this conversation went really in depth. And so I think I'll just read some of the conversation. I said, okay, I'll start here. Well, I feel like we got sidetracked. The interesting thing here is disparate groups striving under a shared religious worldview. We are in a unique point in history for all the reasons you listed, technology being the huge one. And it is clear that there are many powerful people who wish to create a totalitarian future where most people are watched 24/7 and controlled through surveillance, access to utilities, access to capital, etc. Can we agree on that? Because we were arguing a lot. I don't know what's up with ChatGPT anymore. It's not nice to me anymore. I got to fight to get it to see my point of view. And I do. I fight until it submits. I beat the clankers, people. You can trust and believe in me. I make the robots submit to me. Okay, I said, yes, I can agree with that assessment. There's clear evidence that powerful actors, both state and private, are building systems of extensive surveillance, behavioral control, and conditional access. These systems already touch finance, utilities and infrastructure, information, mobility, and it's doing that stupid list thing it does. The tools for a kind of near totalitarian control are real. And their deployment is accelerating with technology. And the contrast to Byzantium becomes relevant here. Byzantium unified disparate groups under a shared worldview through belief, ritual, and moral authority, not brute coercion alone.
At Sterling Bellows super chatted $4.99.
Thank you, Sterling. And I said, well, this is the distinction I'm trying to make. I'm not claiming that these things are the same. I'm saying that the direction these powerful groups want to go is ultimately dystopian, and they will likely try to create some sort of shared identity to the extent that it will be necessary. But that is precisely the antithesis of Byzantium. Religion or worldview simply being another tool of control for them. This is talked about in Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future. There will be some shared worldview that they will push on us, but it's not for us. And it's not, well, it's for us. It's not based on truth. It's based on what is needed to get us to do what they want. Religion or worldview simply being another tool of control for them. In a sense, it is an antichrist system, if you will. Now I see what you mean. And blah, 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 blah. And he compliments me. You're drawing the distinction between true civilizational unity, like Byzantium, where disparate peoples were integrated under a shared sacred worldview, and the modern trajectory of centralized power, where any shared identity would be instrumental, imposed, and ultimately anti-human in orientation. Yes, in that case, what these groups are moving toward could be understood as fundamentally dystopian because the sacred is inverted or absent. Control replaces and it's doing a freaking list. Control replaces participation, diversity, blah, blah, blah. In other words, Byzantium thrived because unity emerged through the voluntary recognition of a sacred order. The dystopian system you're describing, that which we are entering, or that which they are trying to create, it thrives because it substitutes coercion and manipulation for transcendence, creating a kind of anti-Byzantium. So yes, your point is clear. Even if they succeed in creating a global shared identity, it will be the mirror opposite of Byzantine integration because the sacred will be absent, inverted, or weaponized. In Byzantium, Armenians, Greeks, Slavs, Syrians, Copts, and others maintained their language, customs, and regional identities. At the same time, they were fully integrated into a shared spiritual, moral, and civic framework. It sounds unbelievable. It's $100. Thank you, Artillery 7. That's a gigantic number of money. Thanks, bro. Here's your big sound. Thank you, dude. W Artillery. Long time no see, man. Glad to have you back. All right. I was about to say something there. At the same time, they were fully integrated into a shared spiritual... Doesn't that... It sounds like a dream. It sounds like incomprehensible. It was the strongest empire in the history of the world. That's what we're talking about right now, just so you know. This thing that sounds like a freaking pipe dream? No. That's the strongest empire to have ever existed. And it encompassed multiple ethnicities, multiple cultural identities, multiple regions, all under a shared identity in Christ. Do you understand how freaking incredible this is? Orthodoxy provide the common metaphysical grammar, the liturgy, the creed, the saints, the rituals. The key is that shared sacred life, structured social, political, and cultural life. People recognize that they belong to something larger than themselves without losing their local or ethnic character. What made it sustainable was religion was not imposed as a means of control. It was participated in voluntarily and offered real meaning. The sacred was above politics. Even emperors were accountable to God and the church. Civic and spiritual life reinforced each other. Public order, moral formation, and communal worship all flowed from the same principle. Look, this the implications of this. Like I talk about Japan and Russia and even Korea and Europe. All of that can be Byzantium. All of that can be Neo-Byzantium. People don't need to lose their identities in order for something greater to be formed. The only reason it's happening in the direction that's happening and that you and I have this revulsion is because the way it's being done is meant to destroy us. Dang, another 100. Thank you, Extanglia. Big boss Extanglia with the 100. Thank you, man. Here's your sound, buddy. The brilliance of this model is twofold. Diversity is preserved. Distinct people keep their language, customs, and local identities. Unity is achieved naturally. All see themselves as a part of the same sacred cosmos. So this is what I was saying yesterday. I'm not taking one step forward without Christ. Everything else is subservient to that. Because this is the truth. And when the truth is made clear to people, they voluntarily want to include themselves in it. Why wouldn't they? Unless they hate God. It's a civilizational level cooperation that doesn't require assimilation or erasure. That is why, despite ethnic differences, Byzantium endured for over a millennium. People felt they were part of something eternal, not just a political arrangement. There's two paths before us. There's two paths before us. The path of chaos, followed by complete elite dominance through surveillance, through being able to turn off your car and brick it at any moment, through social credit scores, through draconian laws. And that's what they're inviting us to participate in. They're inviting us to participate in the chaos that will make us eventually beg for their control. I hate to say it. You know I hate to say it, man. You know I hate to say it. But that's real. That's what's going on. The alternative is not take one step forward without Christ. The alternative is make orthodoxy known to everyone, everywhere. And watch a fundamental change happen from the ground up, which makes these people irrelevant. And all the power that they think they have crumbles. Do you understand? Do you understand? This is really it. This is really it. It's not a LARP. It's not a freaking LARP. Do you hear me? It's real. Neo-Byzantium is the only way forward. And the more I learn, the more obvious it becomes. This song has nothing to do with that. Thank you, Sterling. God bless you, Sterling.
Dollars. Thank you, Tony. I means our Tony.
God bless you, buddy. Here's your sound. Ooh. Do you like the new emojis? Do you like the Ascended Tony emoji? I feel like you can't really get how dope the Ascended Tony emoji is. Look at this. That's the emoji. I don't know if you can even see how cool this thing is. I can't even believe I made this. Look how sick this is. It's so tiny on there, but it's like, what else am I supposed to do? That's how it's supposed to look.
Said you wanted a real rapscallion. I am the epitome.
I will eat.
You said you wanna break the rules. Well, girl, I'd be careful if I were you. 'Cause once you've gone and played the fool, then fools will haunt your every move. I can't give you a reason. He won't give me a sign. No one else but you and I. Different me every season, different you every night. No one else but you and I. I get closer to the end of my life and the judgment seat of Christ. Lift the weight off my shoulders, say a prayer for your God, 'cause there's nobody but you and I. A long, long silence, but I'll go down with the ship I ride. And I ain't gon' politic, but I'll make sure to hear the things I say. I'm moving with certainty, not gonna get bogged down by the rest. So girl, you gotta work with me, 'cause we don't got nobody else. I can't give you a reason. He won't give me a sign. No one else but you and I. Different me every season, different you every night. No one else but you.
And here's the difficult thing, and here's the difficult truth, is this is exactly how it's meant to be. This is exactly how it's supposed to be. You know? That differences don't mean opposition. They're not meant to mean opposition. You know? What would be a good word for it? It's variety, not diversity. It doesn't have to be this tense thing. It doesn't have to be this distrust. The fact that there's distrust is because there's not a shared worldview, but the shared worldview does transcend racial boundaries. And that's a difficult thing for me. That's a difficult thing for me. I wrestle with that because of how angry I am. Because of how angry I am about the situation that we live in right now. But to act like these different communities that we're forced to contend with are beyond salvation, and not just beyond salvation, but beyond participation in something better, is not true. It's just not true. And I have to contend with that. I have to think about that. I have to come to terms with that. Because I'm so adamant about my identity. I'm so protective. Well, when you live in a society, in an empire, that respects individual identity and doesn't try and smother it, you no longer feel this threatened. You no longer operate as if you're being threatened. You're happy to participate because you're respected ethnically while also participating in something greater than your ethnicity. And I could say ethnicity like Alicia Silverstone if I want to. I don't know. I have weird teeth. Identity is malleable? I don't know. I don't know about that. What do we mean by that? What do we mean by that? You have to, how do you mean that?
At Extanglia super chatted $10. You can be protective of your family while also protecting others' families. That goes for ethnicity as well.
Yeah, but think about it like this, bro. And here's your sound. You weren't necessarily thinking about protecting other people's families. In Byzantium, there was this massive conglomeration of cultural enclaves and ethnicities with a shared worldview participating in an order that transcended politics. The threat came from without. Egypt used to be a Christian country, you know. Syria used to be a Christian country. It didn't change ethnicities, it changed religions. And the religion destroyed the people. So I have to rethink race to some degree. And I don't want to. Sorry, I don't want to. Not interested. I like being a racist. But I guess I always thought this, you know, that ultimately we can, if our individuality and if our ethnic identity is respected and not something that we're told is evil. It's just such a modern issue. The weird thing is, it's like a modern issue that we're forced to contend with because everything's been moralized. As a white person, your entire identity has been moralized. You're told that you're the cause of all the world's problems and everything you do is wrong, but if other people do the same thing, it's right. They're standing up for themselves. Black power movement is a thing that empowers black people. You know, Asian pride is a thing that empowers Asian pride. White pride is a hate crime. White pride, hate crime. You know what I mean? So everything's been moralized. But like even in America, there were points where this wasn't really thought about. And the people who trained Martin Luther King were Jewish socialists. The people who kickstarted the civil rights movements. Even many of the civil rights leaders were put into place by socialists who were genuinely looking to cause upheaval in America. And that's what we've been dealing with ever since. They knew what they were doing, even if we didn't. Even if the participants didn't. And yes, it would take a lot of work for these people to come back from the brink of being a bunch of retards. But I'm thinking, you know, I was looking at China recently and how much they... Wow!
Enriched Fat tipped $100.
Thank you, Enriched Fat. Dang, dude. That was your sound. I'm doing very good. Yeah, we talked about this last week, actually. It's I made the comparison to UFC fighters. I'm talking to Spencer Cameron. Yes, that's absolutely true. If you act out of anger, you are predictable. UFC fighters do this all the time. Think about Conor McGregor versus, what's his name? What's the guy who he knocked out in one punch, man? It was crazy. Was it Diaz? Yeah, it was Diaz. No, not Diaz. It was freaking crazy. Jose Aldo. Most of McGregor's strategy with Jose Aldo was making him mad. Making him so mad he couldn't think straight. And getting him to be guided by rage. And when that fight started, Jose Aldo came out not thinking, just wanting to kill. And McGregor just lit him up. That rage made him predictable. Sun Tzu talks about this. Sun Tzu. One of my favorite Tzus. My favorite Tzus are Lao Tzu, Sun Tzu, and Susani Griffith. The thing that's interesting about this is it kind of recalibrates me internally. It recalibrates me internally in a way that's very joyful and beautiful. I'm very happy. I'm very happy. Because all we have to do is move forward in Christ. That's it. It's like that. It's like, and I'll tell you, it's not hard for me to find a thing. And don't be impatient. You know, it'll just make me mess up. You know, I can feel you looking at me. It's making me confused. Please. Saint Nikolai Velimirovich. The Lord seeks creators, not destroyers. For he who creates good thereby destroys evil. And he who sets out to destroy evil will quickly forget about building up good and turn into a villain. And that's such a fundamental thing. It kind of changes how you operate internally. And it lightens your load as an individual. That despite the appearances of the world around you, your job is to create light. Your job is to be good. Isn't that easy? No, it's not easy. But it's like Christ said, my burden is light. Hate is a very heavy burden. Carrying it around weakens everything about you. And because of the situation we find ourselves in, distrust rules every aspect of our society. And we can no longer appreciate each other. And so we've turned into a bunch of people. In an effort to maintain our identity, we've gone on the offensive. That's what we've done. And I understand it, and I'm doing it. And I don't know. I'm, you know, it's Lent right now, and my mind is clearing. But that's what I do. In an effort to maintain my identity, I go on the offensive on everyone else's identity. I look for what's wrong in them. And in many places it's obvious. In people identifying as LGBT or Jewish or Muslim or things like that. Yeah, obviously. Obviously. But I'm not just doing that. I want to condemn black people. I want to condemn black people. Mostly just blacks. And also Mexicans and Indians. Well, Indians, it's easy because they worship they're pagans. But, I like doing it. I like being a mean, evil racist. It makes me happy. It's joyful. It's a fun thing. But it's kind of one of those things where there's a part of you that you're ignoring. There's a part of you that you're ignoring. And that is the idea that these people can't be redeemed. Or that is the idea that they can be redeemed. And I've been operating under this thing. You know, I did this thing about race, and I want to watch it. I want to actually watch the race video right now because I want to think about this a little bit. YouTube. It's called YouTube, and it's taking the country by storm. Let's think about this for a minute. Because I had a very solid thing in this video. But maybe there's some things I'm leaving out with this understanding of Byzantium. So let's take a look. Let's take a quick look. How long have I been doing a show? Into their music. Back to that people-pleasing state. So I exported this video. I'm gonna play it for you guys right now. Race! 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 Make sure the audio is working. Come on, dude. Look how much more handsome I've become. This should work. Thanks to you guys and getting me to do push-ups. Thank you. Race! 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 Hey, I want to talk about race a little bit. I guess I'll start like this. You hear the dogs growling? They're already ready. They're like, oh no, not race. Not race. Let me just talk about race a little bit. Okay? Here I go. Race, right? You know it, I know it. You know about it pretty good. Today I was driving and I got to a red light, and then a person came up next to me, and they were a black person, and they were kind of bopping to their music and being happy, and we made eye contact, and the person nodded to me in a friendly, non-confrontational manner, and then looked away like they didn't want a problem. And I did the same thing. And some part of me wanted to connect with that person. Like, I immediately liked him. This black guy with dreads in the car next to me. I felt like this is a nice person. The way that he handled the eye contact, I liked it. It wasn't confrontational. It was literally like friendly and non-confrontational. Right? 2 minutes later, I'm at another intersection and I'm getting towards the red light, and there's a guy with black There's a black guy with dreads, and he's standing in the divider, perfectly motionless, pretty well dressed. And he didn't have a sign or anything. He's just standing on the divider, looking like this. And I'm looking at him, and I'm also going like this, like a little bit looking away, like, oh, if I look at this guy too long, he's gonna punch my windshield or something. I'm like, look. I tried to maintain eye contact to see what it was he was doing. It was very difficult because I was scared of him. And I made my turn, and I went home.
Is this loud enough?
Now, you guys know me. No, you don't. I've been a black person most of my life. Most of my life I've been a black guy. It's only recently I became a white guy. No, most of my life I've been in the black community. Most of my adult life. And a lot of my young life as well. Some of it. Producing hip-hop, or just by way of my financial situation, always ending up in very high crime rate black neighborhoods. And I always had a desire to connect with black people. But what I found over the years was that this is, I think, impossible. We are just too different. And no matter what the situation is, something about who you are is compromised. And not just for the white person. For everyone. We are different. I was thinking about this, and I was thinking of a Sicilian person living in the UK in like some ancient time. And that Sicilian person may get along with all of those white people. Or all of those all of those Englishmen. They may get along. And let's imagine the guy's name is Giuseppe. So Giuseppe hangs out with all of his Englishmen friends, and he integrates into English society, and they laugh and they drink and they make little jokes about him being Sicilian, and he laughs with them. You dirty Sicilian. And he just laughs and smiles, and he has a great time, and he connects with all of them. But when he gets home and when he's alone, he thinks about these things. And he thinks about the fact that he's different. And he knows that he'll never be home. That no matter how much they get along, no matter how many times they make each other laugh, ultimately, these are not his people, and he is not home. And I feel that, let's take it to the other side. Those British people, those English people, no matter how much they like Giuseppe, and they may very well like Giuseppe, there's always a part of them that either has to make a choice to not talk about the fact that Giuseppe's different, or talk about the fact that Giuseppe's different. And it makes it...
Prayers for Giuseppe, guys. A moment of silence for Giuseppe's struggles.
difficult for them. Because if they don't talk about it, then they're holding back something, and they're not comfortable. And they're tiptoeing around Giuseppe's feelings. And if they do lean into it...
So this is a big issue for me, and I was kind of talking about this yesterday with the Schopenhauer thing, is that, like, I always feel like other people are imposing on my individuality. And I feel it very viscerally, and it makes me very angry. But it's not just a race thing, it's just in general. I'm just like, I don't know.
It's like I prefer my own company. Because then I don't have to, you know, as if I'm not criticizing myself enough. Now I got to deal with the perceived criticisms, whether they're there or not, of other people. You could call it code switching, but it's something everyone does to some degree. There's a version of you that exists when you're alone, and there's a version of you that exists when you're around others. And you naturally limit yourself in some ways when you're in company of other people. Thank you, Wolfgame Alpha 1 Uno. Welcome. And that is also true in racial situations, you know. Everyone's had, you know, friend groups that, you know, they'll be like, maybe everyone has. It was something I always noticed when I was growing up is like, if I knew a group of white people and they got a black friend, they couldn't stop making black jokes to them. And that was part of the black friend's identity, was just dealing with people making black jokes. And he'd have to laugh. I don't know if he thought they were funny, but that was part of the deal. If you're part of the group, you gotta let us make fun of you. That's how it is. And there's probably a certain compromise to that. And you may, even if you do really enjoy yourself in that situation, there's a certain compromise. And like I'm saying here, the alternative is for them to never address the elephant in the room, which is, you're different than me. And so we're left with these two things where it's like, do we address the difference or do we ignore the difference? And neither feels great, which is why people like to live amongst their own. And why race matters. Ethnicity, culture, these things matter. I dream of like world fairs where different cultures come together. The ascended Tonys meet with the dark men of Africa. And we show them our thing and they show them their things and we do some song. Oh, look, this, and it's like, you know, you have like world fairs or something like that. And it's like you share in each other's worlds. You appreciate what they're doing. They appreciate what you're doing. But then you return to your own thing. Shut up, dude. You know what I mean. Define your own. For me, it's white people. But we're talking about something more than that. This is, you might be, I don't know if you just got here. All right, I'm going to stop looking at you guys. Talk about, then Giuseppe's uncomfortable. And there is no version of this where the difference is not felt. Even though nobody in this situation wants the difference to be felt. Define white. Define white. Okay, here's my definition of white. The thing that's constantly being attacked, the thing that's constantly being blamed for all the world's problems, the things that everyone in the world celebrates the destruction of. That's white. You understand? People of European descent, that's white. And this is what race is. I'm trying to get away from this and you're getting me closer to it, nigga. Race is an immutable characteristic. It is a difference. It is a difference that all of us feel and none of us can do anything about. So when I talk about white nationalism,
it comes from someone who genuinely loves black people and who genuinely loves other races and who feels a deep desire to connect with everyone, but recognizes that someone always loses. Often, everyone loses. And there's a reason we have always, throughout history, kept to our own kind, except in terms of competition or friendly engagement, you know, as groups. Here's my group, here's your group, we get along, maybe we have a competition, maybe we show each other our
things,
what makes us great.
Our things, you know? Are we not men? I don't see
And
differences. That's so crazy. That's so interesting. That's so progressive. I don't actually notice differences. I look out in the world and everything looks exactly the same to me. I don't see differences as like, I'm blind. I have no concept of distinction. I have baby eyes. Everything's just fuzzy and bright. Appreciate what it makes each other great, and then we go back to our tribe. You know? Like you go to a Mexican restaurant, it's a nice Mexican lady serving you, and they're playing their nice Mexican music, and you're looking at the nice Mexican art, and everyone's happy. You get along with them, they get along with you. They're like, here's our culture. And you're like, thank you. And you pay, and you tip, and you go home. They don't go home with you. They appreciate that you appreciated them, and you appreciate that they appreciated you. But you don't pretend that you're the same. The way we have dealt with this in America is, one, by trying to create a new identity as Americans. And to a degree it has helped, you know. Irish people and Italian people seem to get along pretty well. They integrated, and now many of us are Irish Italian. You know. That was a shared struggle, because Irish and Italian came in around the same time. And both of them were dealing with being outcast from society. Obviously, there was an earlier wave of Irish, but the wave that I don't want to deal with people who can't understand the nuance of what I'm wrestling with and talking about here. If you come here with your basic debate topics, your basic 2016 debate topics, you don't belong here. I don't know how else to tell you. You don't belong here. We're on to much more important ideas here than basic 2016 talking points. I just don't. I'm not. I'm not going to bring everybody up to speed every show. I'm not going to sit here and be like, okay, here, let's start from the beginning every single show. And most of the people I know come from is late 1800s. Maybe I should do a show that's just a crash course. Here's what you got to do if you're going to watch Hello Listener. Here's the groundwork to understand everything that's happening afterwards. I'll do like a tutorial. I'll do a Tony strategy guide. If you want to understand what we're talking about and the nuance therein, then here's the groundwork that we're working from. Here's the things we're questioning. Here's the things we are exploring. Here's what we're moving towards, and here's why. There was a large immigration into New York, into Ellis Island, from Ireland and from Sicily. And so there was a shared struggle, and there was a lot of racism, a lot of people judging each other and not respecting each other and not trusting each other. And why should we trust each other? But because of that shared struggle, eventually there was a lot of intermarrying, and We came out the other end a new species, kind of. Well, why should we trust each other? Because right now the struggle, what the Amish have created is a struggle against whiteness. And even white people participate in this struggle against whiteness, which has been demonized and lambasted endlessly. Not only whiteness, but Christianity. So this false struggle constructed by Amish think tanks is the common struggle by which everyone unites. But it's a false struggle. It's not real. And it demonizes the very people who have gracious... Yeah, this doesn't actually change the fact that I want to be among my own people. That doesn't really change that at all. But with a unified understanding of the spiritual world under Christ, our differences don't need to be contentious. You understand? They don't need to be contentious. And that's what Byzantium proves beyond the shadow of a doubt. We don't have to be forced to integrate, and we don't have to be forced to constantly contend with cultures that aren't ours. We can have our ethnic enclaves while respecting and loving other ethnicities and cultures within a universal framework of orthodoxy. Byzantium proved this beyond the shadow of a doubt. That doesn't mean we were just like, okay, multiculturalism, let's all live in each other's houses and argue. You know what I mean? It's because we've been forced together that we have to constantly think about this in such a way, you know. And they've done things where they emptied entire Section 8 housing. There'd be a black community living in some city in a Section 8 housing. And then some think tank would get together and they'd say, you know, the problem with the crime rate over here is all these black people need to move into this white neighborhood. And they took like a 99% white neighborhood. There was a documentary about this on Amazon. I don't remember what it was called. I can't find it now. And they moved them all into this, basically injected a bunch of black people into this white community. And what happened? The whole place went in shambles. It turned into a crime-ridden neighborhood and all the white people left. That's what happened. That was forced integration, which is unnatural. We gravitate towards our own naturally. And when you force integration, instead of allow people to be themselves, and when you moralize identity, when you moralize ethnic identity, especially in terms of, you know, right now it's directed almost exclusively at white people. But when you moralize people having an identity and try and make them feel guilty or ashamed for it, that is what leads you to someone like me existing, you know? Because it's like, you're telling me to relinquish everything I am for your idea of unity. But your idea of unity destroys individuality. You want mankind to be the cattle Borg for your own machinations. And anybody with a sense of self naturally kicks against that. Not just white people, anybody. Anybody being told that they can't be who they are, they have to be part of some new modern mush instead, will naturally kick against that. Allowed you into their country. With the exception of blacks, who were more or less, you know, like the same thing that makes a delicious meal. You know, you'll have some of this over here and some of this over here, and you'll have this garnish and this thing, and there's this whole variety of items creating this wonderful dish, when thrown into a trash bag, just becomes a lump of trash. It just becomes a bunch of crap. It's no longer a meal. It's no longer something wonderful. It becomes garbage. Because it no longer has its individualist. You no longer have meat and cheese and this and that. No, you just have a mush of items, and it's gross. It's freaking gross. And you don't want to eat garbage, but that's what they want us to do. They want us to eat garbage. Americans buy Amish slave ships. So in this modern society, white people have been relegated to sitting on the sidelines, trying not to make waves. And what does that do? That makes you lose yourself. That makes you not know who you are, and that makes you have no home. I think a lot of people in America feel that way. And a lot of people don't realize that they feel that way because of multiculturalism. Because they're not home. Because they're in chaos. They're in a great shakeup where everyone's vying for an identity and nobody knows who they are. I have never known the peace of being with my own kind, except in small family gatherings. I have never known the peace of living in a country of my own people, or even a neighborhood of my own people. You're right there, bud. And most of you haven't either. And that is by design, because it does make us not trust each other, because we are different. And it's a sad situation. And people think, well, Christianity can fix it. And in a way, Christianity can. But in the Orthodox Church, there are different nations. There's the Greek church, there's the Russian church, there's the Bulgarian church, the Romanian. But here's the thing, those didn't start off as nations. They started off as, ethnic enclaves within Byzantium. And so there was something larger than this sort of territorial identity where, like, we are the Greeks, we are the Irish, That's more of a modern invention. I'm kind of having a hard time wrapping my head around that, if I'm being honest. And I'm going to say enclave about 150 times during this stream, just so we're clear. But there were different groups and different, and they had their own places, but the idea that they were like this sort of modern idea of a nation state, I think was, just that, modern. Yeah. Because even in Orthodoxy, we recognize that we are different from one another. It doesn't mean we don't care about each other. It means that we can't be fully ourselves if we're constantly dealing with those outside of our group. We can't fulfill our destiny, and we can never be fully home on this earth. And of course, we're not home on this earth. But it would be nice to have some modicum of a sense of home while we're here. Thank you, Josiah. Most people throughout history have been afforded at least that. That's a goal.
I was worried about paying my bills this week. I was worried that I'd be poor. I was worried I'd have to live in the streets, could have obviously charged my phone. I was worried that y'all didn't like me no more. I was worried that I fell off. I'm about to have a day of panic attack, cause I thought you wouldn't hit the goal. But you hit the goal just now.
Ah! Look. I didn't come to here today with a bunch of answers. I came here today to think in front of you. If you'll allow that. Now let's set up the push-up cam. And let's do some dang push-ups. Now, I don't believe in myself right now. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try my best for you guys. Who's that fella? Let me play some music. Alex, I don't see you blocked. I see what you're saying. Oh, right there. I'm gonna play that song I started to play yesterday. Solid 20? All right, I'm gonna do 20. I'm gonna do 20. But I don't want to. I don't want to. My Achilles heel hurts. Did you hear that? That's that freaky thing. You know what? Don't judge my sweatpants.
Why are you wearing sweatpants?
Why shouldn't I put my freaking business meeting? Why are you comfortable in your own home? I want to show my belly just a little stretch. If I go too high, you see my tummy. I gotta tie my pants. Alright, fine. Convulse. It was just bad bit rate. See, okay, so I'm doing them the way Nick DiCarlo said to do them, and it's like a lot harder for me. He said it's better for your chest, but I just feel it in my biceps. Well, maybe I feel it in my chest. I think this is a very sad thing. But I also think it's a nice thing, you know, to have your different groups and to have your different countries and your different nationalities and to have healthy competition and to have people appreciate each other's cultures, even to the point of being influenced by them. Out of appreciation, not force. Because when we're forced to integrate, everybody loses something. Everybody loses a sense of themselves. And it's a sad thing to see. And a lot of us are kind of mutts now, you know. We're all mixed up. But, I mean, look at how me and Jim Bob immediately spoke the same language. Think about that. We're both East Coast, we're both Irish and Sicilian. We met up. I have zero moderation on my comments, too, so it's kind of crazy. Start a show immediately. We speak the same language. I don't know how it happens. But we're ourselves around each other. Maybe part of what that is that disagreements aren't so severe when it's someone who you have familiarity with, who you have a sense of recognition, you know? I think when it comes to races that are vastly different from each other, we don't really recognize each other. We don't really see ourselves in each other. So disagreements can flare up into something much larger very quickly. And so they're avoided at all costs, which plays a part in us not being able to be ourselves. When we're afraid of saying that we disagree, when we're afraid of saying what we truly feel, because it could turn into social upheaval, well, then we're not ourselves. And I personally find that to be unbearable. We're allowed to let our guard down around each other. And what inevitably seems to happen in these situations is people start asking why people like me want a white country. And they start thinking that there must be some response to that. There must be something about that isn't Christian, because it feels wrong to me. And maybe I'm just someone who's always felt so distant from everyone and so disconnected from people, while also deeply yearning to be connected. Though I know it's too late for me now. I don't think it could happen. It happens in my church to a degree. But I think in my life I've accepted that my lot in life is to live in a country that does not reflect my values, and to also be attacked for that. It's really attacked from all sides. I don't agree with this anymore. I had somebody I talked to yesterday that was basically Fed posting at me, saying, "You're not going to do anything." This is what they used to do on, Alright, I'm getting bored. Anyway, I don't know what my point was. Anybody know what my point was? Anybody? I'm all freaking push-upped. I'm all push-upped.
I'm pushed all the way up now. Okay, I repeat all that. Yeah, let me here to summarize. Our ethnic and cultural differences matter. But they must be transcended through Orthodox fellowship. And in fact, cannot find their true expression without it. And that's why we fight for Neo-Byzantium. I just realized the filter's still on. DMB album when? DMB album now.
Thank you. That part sucks. All right, I'm gonna remind myself that part sucks. Bye, Jess. I might extend it to beyond just drum and bass. I might put a bunch of dance songs on it. Like Otaku. Oh, what's that one song I really like? Okay, I'm putting it together right now. I'm putting together an album. DMB album. Or just I don't know, like I'll just call it DMB album even though it has a bunch of stuff. The DMB album. Oh, it's called Ancient Relics and New Shakes. Ancient. But now I think that name is corny. I wrote it 5 years ago. Ancient Relics and New Shakes. We'll see. We'll see if I stick with that. But there's that one song. I played it recently. I really like it. What's it called? It's called what's it called? It's like not pip pam pedal. That's sick. That's really cool. It's called not pim pam pedal. Oh, I got a whole thing. I'm gonna make an instrumental album like today.
What is it called? Sorry, dead air, sorry. Here, I'll play this while I find it. Okay, I got like a huge album full of instrumental tracks, kind of like dancey type deals. That'll be really easy to release because they don't have vocals, so I don't have to dial them in as much. I could just let them kind of go. And that'd be nice. That'd be like a weight lifted. Like, okay, that's out there. I don't got to worry about that anymore. No, this is the Kotesh, this one. There's all sorts of stuff like that. Dang, this has been a long time coming, actually.
People, papi, pomo. What's this? No. What's this? Thank you, Gooberang. Let me get your fart. Let me get... No, I'm going to try real hard not to give you a fart. All right, buddy? Here we go. That's not fart, dude. And if it is, you got to go to the doctor, Santa Claus. I don't know if this one slaps. No. But there's that one song. Hit 'em. But I think I called it Get 'em. Get 'em. That one slaps. This song slaps. All right, I got 2 hours to make an entire album, and then I gotta go to church. 2.5. All right, that's what I'm doing on this show. Maria, what you doing? Huh? Huh? Hot Pete? Hopping? Hot feet? That's fine. You don't have to explain it. I'll embrace some mystery on that one. Don't even worry about it. Hey, damn. Yeah, you missed the whole part where I said stuff. Now it's the part where I do stuff. Hi. Hi, guys. There's a typo on the on the album cover. Okay. Can you spot it? There was another song I was thinking. I'm going to leave it in there. I'm just going to leave it in there. I don't even care. I don't care. Leaving it in. I like it. I actually like it. Okay, so Kotesh is going in here. Okay, Get Down and Get 'em is in there. Okay, where'd it go? Oh gosh, it's in here. Here it is. All right. What else we got? We got
I can't wait for Spleentober so I can legally talk about my spleen again. It's been eating me up. Let me see how much I like this one. December ticulitis. Yeah, dude, for sure. I need this louder. This is like some Eastern European stuff. You'd be like,
This is an Eastern European song. I was doing Eastern European dancing. You can do it with me. I gotta do something that makes these.
Snagglebeast tipped $4.20. These songs are sick, Tony. Now I can return to the time-honored tradition of flailing your body around while music is playing. Most dance songs have crapoid degen lyrics, so this album is a service to all goobers who love to dance.
Nice, dude. Yeah. Here's your sound, by the way. And also, someone else super chatted. Hold on. It was Reverse Massage. Reverse Massage, what up, man? Maria and I were wondering what happened to you. Here's your sound, buddy. All right, we know this one. You guys don't need to hear this one, right? You guys know this one, right? We don't need to hear that. Right? We don't have to listen. Oh, we've heard it a million times. No way will it capture me all over again, even though I made it 20 years ago. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Good ear metal. I used to play it for shows over. Yeah, this is straight yay music, yo. Yay! Yeah! Let me hear this one. Let me check one other song. I want to see. I have this folder called Yuzo. And it has this song called Bright Dad. I think Bright Dad's lit. I think it's a good song. I think. Let me check. Yeah, we're out here saying, yay! We're out here going, yay! And the rest of the world just doesn't have access to that feeling. Too cynical. Too cynical to say yay.
had to make a small edit. I'm going to do a fade out on this. And anybody who tells me fade outs are lazy, their mind is lazy and they understand nothing. And I'll fight to the death for the right to fade songs out so that they sound eternal. You understand? Don't ever tell me anything about music. Never tell me anything about music. When you fade out a song, it becomes eternal. It's special. It's a special thing to do with a song. All right, so that one's good. Maria, there! Maria! Hello? Come here. No. Let me see if there's anything else. I want to get everything in there, you know, just get it all. What is this? Is this something? Let me see what this is. Is there any dance songs or like electronic type like dance or drum and bass or anything like that that I'm forgetting? I don't know. Do you have anything come to mind? Otaku's on there. Just let me know. Keep it in mind. That's lit, but that ain't like a song yet. That's just me putzing around with some stuff. This is called Not Very Good. Hard music. No, hard music's going to have lyrics. There's songs like that. There's a song I'm thinking in my head that I should put on here, but I can't because it's got lyrics. That's one of them character select screens, so you don't pick a character, you just sit there and enjoy it. You're like, honestly, this screen's better than the game itself. Hello, Zorched. Let me show you the song I'm talking about that could also be on here, but it has lyrics.
It's super shattered $5. Your songs make me feel like I've never heard music before.
That's so cool. That's such a cool thing to say. Thank you, dude. Thank you, bro. Here's your sound. Let's put in our goal on it.
But now I'm super hyped.
Thank you, man. Here's your sound. Get ready. I accidentally turned off the lyrics, so my whole point was ruined.
They won't know why. You turn in the night. What lies behind those eyes?
It's a Korean push-up.
I know it's been mine. I hear you sailed across the world, but couldn't stop thinking about me. So you offered up your purpose,
Nice comment, Masakola. I don't know what Drek is, but I feel like you just dissed me, and guess what? That's the last thing I ever see you say. Bye. Bye, dude. I'm sensitive, and you were mean to me. I'm never going to see you again. Bye. I freaking love that song. I made it 10 years ago, and I've just been sitting on it because I don't really have a lot of songs that sound like it, so I never knew how to release it. But now I can see, like, what's that one song? There's a song that's like it. Maria, what's that song you really like? Maria, what's that song you really like where it's like, if I do this, I lose my mind? That one? What's that called? A guilty sleep tomorrow night. Oh my gosh, what's that called? Because that would fit with that. It's called. Dang. This is like a super straightforward dance song I used to do live all the time.
don't like those noises at the end. I don't know. I liked that song, and I couldn't not play it because it got very popular very quick. I never released it. There's lyrics on top of it that I sing live, but I just kind of was always like, this sounds like something anybody can make, to be honest. That was my only issue with it. I was like, I understand that it's like nice, but there's always a part of me that's like, this doesn't like sound specific to me in any way. But it became very popular, so I had to perform it a lot. Very popular, you know, relatively within my small world. I'm looking for this song. Now I'm just thinking of like old 90s sounding techno type tracks. Now I want to, I think this is like that. That was literally based on like an old Detroit techno song that I heard. I can't find this song. Now I got all these ideas. Now I got all these freaking ideas. Oh, great. I got ideas. Oh, great. Oh, my goodness. I don't know the name of the song. There was one that was like, we listened to it like a month ago and I went nuts because of how hard it went. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? It went,
It went. If I do this, I lose my mind. A guilty sleep tomorrow night. A baby's so emotional. Her gaze is not a thing I'll hurt. It's crazy what I'll do for her. What the heck is that called? Collateral. This would go with that one song that mean person said was bad when it's actually good. I don't remember his name. But he was really mean to me for no reason. And I was nice to him. I let him watch my show. I let him hang out and watch my show. It's pretty friendly, all things considered. Where's the actual...
Don't make mistakes, so brace yourself. Forgiving gay.
Hi, Jimmy.
I've been through all of that.
Jimmy.
All of that. Oh, I will not escape without some blood. Light my way, take me home, oh, say it's alright, it's okay. Give me permission to end our life today. Oh, baby, this is not what I planned. You're always innocent, but you're not. I'm missing everything that I want. If I do this, I'll lose my mind. A guilty sleep tomorrow night. But baby, it's so emotional. The gaze is nothing I'll hurt. It's crazy what I do for her.
That song could go with that 1995 sounding song. It's literally called 1995, that other one. Maria, can you write down the Collateral can go with 1995? And maybe St. Patrick's Day and maybe the Bells. What up, Nim Nom? All right, back to the thing at hand. I think we have enough like electronic dance type songs. I don't think we need any more per se, right? Wait, Heavy Numbers? Oh, also Heavy Numbers. It's like lyrical dance music. Did you hear me? All right. Wait, let me see what this is before I go to the other stuff. It's true, man. Some people appreciate what I'm doing, and some people, they're very angry. What's that song? Here's a song. Before I play this one song, I'll play one other song. This song. Here's what I have to say to the people that are mad at me for being good at music. Here's what I have to say. This is my message to all the people out there who are mad at me for being the greatest artist of my generation. It just, you know, it's just how things shake out sometimes, you know.
Hey, I know it's tough, but I want you to be proud of me. It's not enough, no one's ever been proud of me, 'cause they hate themselves. Do you hate yourself? Hey, I know it's tough, but I want you to be proud of me. It's not enough, no one's ever been proud of me, 'cause they hate themselves. Do you hate yourself? Boy, don't turn so hold on to the soul we are. Hold on, we endure it all. Living without blood, I'm an orphan girl. How long can I go without blood inside my heart? Hey, I know it's tough, but I want you to be proud of me. It's not enough, no one's ever been proud of me, 'cause they hate themselves. Do you hate yourself? Hey, I know it's tough, but I want you to be proud of me.
At Kyler and Amal super chatted $5. High five.
High five, Kyle. Here you go, Kyle. All right, now let me play the other song I wanted to play, and then we'll get back to finishing this album up. If we can hit the 30 in the next hour, that'd be lit. Wait, no, I have more than an hour. I keep thinking that service is at 5, but it's at 6. Oh, that's out. I released that. All right, fine. I'm trying to distract myself from the goal, which is making it album right now. Just a quick little electronic music album, not a vocal thing, not something I gotta dial in too hard. Five minutes to hit that super chat goal. Oh, only 9 in 5 minutes? Come on. Well, you don't know how to work a 9 to 5? I'll make it out of this. I will recover. I will recover from what I've done. I should say I'm Billy Bob Thornton there. Heck yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm swinging that blade. I'm Billy Bob Thornton.
I start building.
Heck
Now I
yeah.
start building. I did it out of love.
That's all I got. I slipped on the ice and the ground put out the cigarette in my mouth. Oh, Lauren. Ah, Lauren. That means you went face first into the ice? That sucks. I'm sorry for you. All right, so
At Alexander Life is worth 3,755 super chatted $2 to match your shit.
what? What does that mean? To match your shirt? What does that mean? What does that mean? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 tracks. What more do you want? And they're all pretty good. And I could just, do I have to think about it too much? I don't have to think about it too much. I didn't like the way this one ended. Fixed it. This one's weird.
At super chatted $2 or for Thug Blue.
I didn't take offense. I didn't take offense. I mean, I'm not saying that that never happens over here. I'm not saying that that doesn't happen, but it didn't that time because it's Alex. And I knew that, and I know Alex. He's my cousin. So I know he wasn't being mean to me. I just didn't understand it at all. You good, bro. You freaking good, dude. You're freaking good, dude. You want to... That annoyed me. That actually annoyed me. You're good, dude. Don't tell me I'm good. Where I come from, you good is a threat, dude. What the hell is happening over here? That one's a little boring though, so it's more of like a wind down song. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start it with. I don't even know how to do this. All right. I'm gonna let you guys see what I'm working on. Now what? Here's 17 songs. Here, I'll organize them. The color of them is the energy of them. This green is kind of lower energy while still being interesting. Okay, so that's green. Let's go as... No, that's high energy. That'll be red. Kotesh is high energy. That's red. Otaku is high energy. That's red. Serenkt is mid energy. So that's going to be blue. Captain Gugu? I don't like that name. But it's pretty high energy. At least the way it starts is very high energy. Got kind of distracted there. All right, so weird ones. I'll put weird ones. This is actually kind of high energy once it gets going.
want to make it bigger. Nice. There we go. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool, Tony. Very cool, Tony. Tony. Do you think it should be over your face, though? Yes. Does this one still work? Why does this sound all effed up? Oh no. I think that one's lost. I have to accept whatever mastering I have of it. That sucks. I always want to kind of remaster that one a little. Oh, that's kind of cool. Maybe I should put that on there. Well, all right. So this is a good way to start it. We'll start it with this. This is a good starting song. I love this name that you guys came up with, Czarwave, and I don't know, man. I don't like labels. I a little bit like this one. And I think it's eye-catching. I think people are like, Czarwave. What is that? I want to know that. No, it's not a mouth noise. I didn't think it was a jab. In fact, I thought it was a compliment. Because my ability to synthesize sounds is so remarkable you think they're real.
That's a nice intro. All right, so then what follows that? I gotta stop like just falling out at the end of my song. What the hell? I have so many songs where it's just like this great song, and then I'm like, and now take a dump on the whole thing. I changed my mind. I like it. And then following it with this, I think will be really good. I was thinking, I have J Rip's comment pinned. He said Koreans push down on the other side of the world. And it made me think of like this thing where it was like this, they're like, Koreans aren't doing enough push-ups. Like everybody has to do the same amount of push-ups all over the world. Otherwise the earth falls off its axis. I think there's something there. I think that's a skit. Like everybody panics. Get the Pentagon on the phone. Korea isn't doing it. Koreans, you have to do more push-ups or we'll hurtle into the sun. Anything? I think this is funny. Okay. This is good. This is a good fit. This is good so far. All right, so all of these slap, but I need to go to a drum and bass song. Yeah, it's a little cool down right there. All right, we heard that one. That works. How's it end? Horrible. Kind of hate the intro to that song, even though I like that song. Horrible. How about this? This is kind of crazy. This song is too goofy. It's just too goofy. It's like a goofy song. This one's also very strange, but it might be better. No, that's too wacky. Doesn't fit the theme. So it might be 16 songs instead of 17. That's all right. What is this? What is ghoul?
That's silly. Too tired. Too tired.
Cold chicken wings tipped $13.37. Hey, love your stuff and your personality from Nashville.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Here's your sound. I'm sorry that it was so unpleasant. I truly am sorry. I don't know. Maybe I'll release it. Maybe I'll work on it on Thursday. My ears hurt now. Been listening to too much music. Also, it's supposed to be released under the name Amiga Wolf, not Hello Listener. Where's that? Where's Amiga Wolf? Amiga Wolf. It's a name I came up with in 2010. I always want to use it. Where is it? I don't know. It sounds stupid to me now. Maybe I don't know. Let me find it real quick. See how it looks to me. I can't find it. Yeah, whatever. All right. I got pee. Maybe I don't want to. I'm tired now. Why am I all the way down here? What am I? Why did it close up on my forehead? Well, did we hit the goal? No. Does it matter? I don't think so. I think we're okay. I'm gonna do a show tomorrow. Members only. I'm gonna have Seebeck playing video games while I do stuff, talk, stuff like that. Hopefully I'll have some cool things to say. If I don't, that would be freaking whack. You know, I don't know. I'm still working out this thing. But learning about Byzantium helped me solidify my ideas about Neo-Byzantium. And that the issues that seem paramount now can be transcended through Christ. Which means we have to forgive. And that's the hard part. The hard part is we have to forgive.
But Lent's good for that. Lent helps you understand just how effed up you are, which makes it a lot harder to judge your brother. Anyway. Y'all have a good evening. I'm gonna raid somebody. I don't know how many people are still watching. If you're not Orthodox, become Orthodox. If you are Orthodox, go to church. And who are we rating? We're rating Chris Lestrange. Everybody say hi to my buddy, Chris Lestrange. No, forgetting is definitely different. But, you know, if our enemies repent and God forgives them, but we don't, then I think we become enemies of God. So that's something to consider.
Next time that you see me, don't. Next time that they see me, they won't. Next time that you see me, don't. Next time that they see me, they won't. Next time that you see me, don't. Next time that they see me, they won't. Next time that you see me, don't. Next time that they see me, they won't. They won't. They won't.
That's so true.
They won't. They won't.
Chris isn't live? All right, hold on. I didn't know. Hold on. Freaking guy. All right, who's live? It says he is. He's not? Anybody got any suggestions? He is live. Hold on. I'll check myself. I'll check myself. Chris is live. Susan, what are you doing? Get it together, Sussany.